Redstone looks wonderful, the pavement and the bleachers. Kudos to that, it looks fantastic. The unoccupied students at the games, that has been wonderful and it has been working well. We appreciate the public's cooperation. And we have an anti-bullying assembly that will be happening at our elementary school where we have James Warren Magic coming in so that we can kick off anti-bullying. Thank you.
All right. Public remarks on agenda and non-agenda items. You said we have one, Judy.
Marty, Joe Jason.
Come on up, Mr. Jason.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to give a quick update to the Board of Directors and Administrators regarding the wrestling room. Everything's going very, very well. For those of you who do not know, we've been assigned a wrestling room. It's the old IT room. At this time, there's work being conducted in the room with student athletes who are getting community service for painting and things of that nature. And maintenance was in there today, mopping up a couple of things that we need done to get our wall pads up and get our mats down and to get our wrestlers into the said wrestling room so we can start getting them on practices. I would like to give a special thanks to everyone sitting in front of me today. Every one of you I've spoken to in some capacity in the past year and a half regarding this wrestling room. This is such a big deal that I can't even explain it. Dr. Martin, thank you. Open line of communication, thank you. Mr. Yakubet, thank you. I know you've been busy at Redstone Field. Your guys are doing an amazing job just in the one day they've been there. Mr. Boyd and his IT department, they moved out of the room that we were in. They took the room that we was given and wanted to give me their room, which was bigger. They did it in like 3 days. It was awesome. And a special thanks to Mr. Barrick. Mr. Barrick, thank you. I can't say enough. Thank you very much. I'd also like to address the Board of Directors about athletic social suspension or academic social suspension. I did some research regarding this and sent an email to Dr. Martin back in September. And myself and a couple of you school board members have been discussing this here and there and everywhere. The bottom line is we had an athletic task force meeting in September where there were a few coaches there. And we were all discussing, just everything that we're dealing with. One of the biggest consensus is we feel that as coaches, that our social suspension policy is severely hindering our athletic department and our athletes. Can't put any names out there, but I can tell you if you vetted your coaches, the majority, if not all of them, is going to agree with me on this. The PIAA rules dictate that students, and this is the PIAA, this is their policy for schools, dictate that students must have passed 4 one-credit classes during the previous grading period, not week, period. To be eligible, they must be passing at least 4 full credit subjects to remain eligible. Our policy states that students cannot be failing 2 or more classes. That's weekly. This has to be changed. This is affecting the biggest thing that we see is affecting our numbers. I love my football team. I love Coach Braddock. You want to know why we got 21 kids on our football team? This can be the blame right here. Some of the things that the coaches discuss. Social suspension should not be more strict than the PIAA standards. Consensus is that currently policy does not decrease participation. When a student athlete is placed on this suspension, it is only conveyed to the coaches with 0 details. We feel that this is unacceptable. As coaches and mentors, we are willing to help the players with tutoring and guidance, and can't even be given the basic information to even start to put a plan of action in place to help them get their grades up. Social suspension reports are based off of Friday's grades. If grades are updated after the report is ran, updated grades will not reflect for the following week's report, and the student remains on social suspension. On several occasions, disclaimer, teachers are not the problem. The system's the problem. I just want to make that very clear. I am not up here blaming anyone at this school district about what's going on. I'm blaming the procedure we have in place. I want to make that very clear. Teachers entering grades on the weekend, which has happened numerous times to a lot of my wrestlers last year, that were not reported or not entered prior to Friday deadline, fell in grades, became passing grades. However, the student athletes still remained on social suspension for the following week. And like I said, we do feel, I do, with all the coaches, we're not blaming anyone. We're not blaming an individual, especially the teachers. Please, I want that very clear. Students will be given written notice on any social probation, which will include the start and end date for the term of probation. Any student receiving more than 14 social probation days will have an opportunity to reduce their days through criteria set forth in the social probation improvement plan. I asked for one of my wrestlers last year because my son and another wrestler blew their knees out in football, my son in baseball. They're both very good students, very, very smart kids. We have a classroom above the weight room to where I could have took my son and this other wrestler to where they could have took this wrestler up in there and tutored him, and I couldn't be told what the grades were he were failing. Why is that? If I'm a coach and I'm a mentor and I'm leading men and not women with the wrestling team, and I'm a hired school employee, how is that a violation of whatever policy to tell me what that particular student athlete needs help?
So, Mr. Jason, can I ask you one quick
Yes,
question?
ma'am.
So, we do at least receive a right, I would say, right to know information as to whether or not it's attendance or it's academic.
Yes.
If that student were that interested in improving and getting to where he or she needs to be, don't you think that student would let you know, hey, coach, these are the two classes
They
that
do,
I'm failing?
absolutely, they do, but
Okay, I'm just curious, because I know my kids have done that. Hey, coach, this is what I'm failing.
they do, Mrs. Columbia, but however, I shouldn't have to dig that deep. I should have the information needed before I approach my student athlete. Because I'm just not going to arbitrarily approach my student athlete without a plan of action already in my mind of how we're going to fix this.
So may I interject for one moment? We can't give a coach
Right.
that information because of student confidentiality. Just like if their grandparent calls up here, we can't give their grandparent the information either just because of confidentiality. So it has to come from the student themselves or a parent or guardian. So while we would love to be able to give them that information, we cannot give it out because of confidentiality.
I do truly in my heart feel that if the student was truly wants to be tutored and wants to get back into playing standards, standards that student would say, hey coach, these are the two classes that I'm failing.
Well,
Just one more thing. You're getting confused, Mr. Jason, and not to, I just want to make sure you understand. Social probation and eligibility are two different things, just so you understand that. So you're talking about PIA eligibility, not social suspension. You're
Right,
talking about.
PIA,
Okay,
correct.
just so you know.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you use your train of
No,
thought.
that's all right. Several instances last year, I have seen bias towards certain sports programs. I've seen student athletes who should not have been playing a sport because they were on academic probation. That's the fact of the matter. It happens. It happens, and it shouldn't be that way. If we're gonna have a standard, we need to have it for everyone. And then a parent brought this up to me, that the student, and I looked this up, Ms. Stout, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, it is believed that student IEPs are being violated regarding suspension sanctions and safeguards that are not being followed according to PIAA policy regarding IEPs and student disabilities. I did see that there was something in there, that there is a corrected, I believe, faster. Is that correct, Ms. Sal?
Well, not something that I can discuss with you either, because if the student has an IEP, that can't be discussed either.
Okay. Thank you.
Or that can't be discussed with the coaches.
Okay, thank you. Parent frustration is obvious. And this is a big thing with me. I'm a state probation officer. I've worked in some of the worst parts of inner city Pittsburgh. The social aspect of every situation is not being considered. Some of these students live in homes that can be considered less desirable. They have no support at home, other than their coaches and teachers. I got kids coming to me last year asking me to get them something out of the vending machine because they're hungry. They're not going to be able to eat when I go home. I just don't feel that we're taking those factors into consideration whenever we are determining athletics is something that these kids, they look forward to. And sometimes it's the only thing they can look forward to. Unfortunately, another coach put it best. As sad as it is, we got students, everyone has students in every school district. They look forward to coming to school because that's when they get to eat. It just shouldn't stop there. We need to look at this. I'm not going to get into the prior administration, which I didn't receive any report with this, but I just want to close on this, that no policy is perfect. We all understand that. And as I stated earlier, all of the coaches discuss this amongst each other. And this is probably 99% of your coaches feel this way. We can change this under your leadership in a positive direction. And all of you have my contact information. I'd be more than willing to sit down and talk to you individually and other coaches. I do ask for one thing, however. This is something that I personally feel that this is something that should not be put on the back burner and put on the agenda for November or December or January. We have winter sports getting ready to start. There is already a procedure in place from the PIAA that we can change to. We should not be more strict than that. That's my personal opinion on that. One more thing. Another issue that I came across this summer. I would like the board to start looking at how we vet how we vet former athletes to come to the school to maybe participate in training and things of that nature. This past summer, I took my wrestling team to Laurel Highlands. There was a young man there by the name of Colton Stone King who wrestles at Fairmont State. Laurel Highlands wrestling coach was able to have him up there for clinics. And I talked to him and said, well, what's your process about getting him up there? He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what's your process with getting approval from the district to get him up here? And he says, as long as the coach is here, he can be here. Wow. I mean, no background checks or nothing like that. He says, no, the coach has to be here. I mean, look at what some of our former student athletes recently have to offer us. We have Tessa Della Rosa, North Carolina. We have the Corzo sisters of North Carolina State. We have Derek Tarpley at Pitt. To ask those young men and women to complete an FBI background check, to come up here and work on the baseball field with baseball players, or work with the cross-country team, or work with the soccer team. I could go across the river and get Rocco Welch, who was a sophomore at Ohio State, who was willing to come up here for free to work with my wrestlers. And when I told his dad that he'd have to get his free clearances, he basically told me thanks, no thanks, and hung up on me. I really, really would like for that to be discussed in the near
That
future.
can never be overturned. That will never change. We cannot let anyone on this property without clearances. It doesn't matter if they're the best athlete in the world. We have so many academic people that leave this school with highest academic remarks. They are bankers. They get nothing. I mean, this is just about athletes, and I'm athletic minded. But to say we're going to allow the greatest track guy in the world to come here, got to have clearances, because he's not going to get us into a lawsuit.
So
I'm just adding that. I would be opposed to
absolutely,
it.
Mr.
Try.
Bashir, Mr. Bashir teacher, and I appreciate that, and I do not want to sit here and blame anything or anyone. Our parents can go on the football field with the band and play with the band on Friday night, where they all vetted, they did their background check. What about whenever we had media day up here? What about when we had media day with soccer up at the field up here, and the parents were on, my wife was there, she's never did her background check. I just want it to be fair, and it's not fair. If one, it needs to be
The
fair.
previous administration has allowed so much bullshit to happen. It's catching up to us now, but I can tell you now, if we start closing the gates, which I got 23 items to bring up tonight. The parents are gonna like what I bring up, but we're gonna start shutting some bullshit down. Because too many people are walking on this property thinking they own the damn place. I've got teachers in there that have to have security. The parents are driving over security officers. They're screaming at the teachers, F you. I'm not gonna tolerate that as a board member. I'm not speaking at you. I'm just telling you, I'm on a warpath tonight about this bullshit. Our employees are in jeopardy. They're in danger almost every day. Our security's in danger. Our security officer, chief, got to have his neck on a swivel. Because of the way the parents are coming up to school thinking that they're entitled. Bullshit. Excuse my language.
Would the school board be interested? I just want to see if this is something you would be interested in. I'm the coach of the local American Legion baseball team. This past year, due to the FBI, the state police, and Health and Human Services getting clearances back basically whenever they want, they're using, American Legion is now using a third-party vendor for it. And you go on there and you put all your information in, and all your background checks are back within 21 hours. You know, we're getting, that FBI one, if you don't pay attention and open up the link and the computer where you can print it, you lose it. And you have to go back down there again. And I know I can go to Jody, she can look it up, but it just needs to be something easier where they can do one-stop shopping, at least to get their background checks, instead of jumping back and forth all these different
We have
places.
to
Well, we
do
were
it.
looking at it before, to try to see if we can get something to do something faster with getting your clearances. I know we talked about that as a board before.
It did it for homecoming.
Yeah, there's something,
But they did it like 8 minutes.
yeah.
And it's
So,
volunteer, it's free. Yeah. It's free.
and this is faster than what we're doing, all this, the other FBI clearances
But
and all
if
this.
they're cleared, you're gonna get it back instantly. And like I said, as a volunteer, you may have to pay. There's actually a volunteer, like what he's referring to is bring Derek Tarpley as volunteer.
Yeah,
He would just get volunteer clearances.
and those are faster.
And they're free.
Stacey, is
See, we didn't know
child
this.
abuse
This is
instant?
what I mean, we didn't know that.
It is.
Right.
It is, okay.
This is what we didn't know, because we're having young kids that want to come back and volunteer, but and some of these kids don't have money to even, like, they're in school and stuff, they don't want to spend $50, $60 to get clearances. But if there is something like that, then that would be really good.
Now, all the kids that went to homecoming that are 18 and above or out of our district,
Yeah,
they had all their clearances, and there was 200 kids in homecoming. And it
Well,
wasn't
see,
an
we
issue
just-
for them to get it,
yes,
and
and
we
that's
had
something we need to
74
look
out of
into. Board.
district kids, so.
We need to look at that.
Well, I think
Yeah, and it was just using the regular form, it wasn't a special third party.
It goes through all that,
Yeah, it was.
it comes back to effect.
And I only say that because I know like certain web browsers, the state is not, it's not user friendly with,
Yeah.
say, Chrome versus Safari. So it could be the web browser. I know that sounds crazy, but that is true.
Yeah.
You have to use one versus the other, and I can't, I think.
Well, because it does get a little frustrating, yeah, if you are trying to use things.
I just had to get mine again for the district, and mine came back instantly. Every teacher does. Yeah.
Some of the things that people don't, we have to deal with PFAs now.
right.
We're trying to, the security got to deal with the PFA because this parent don't allow this one to see this, this teacher can't go talk to this, it's bull. But this is the kind of thing that why this board, we can't catch up with things because we're constantly dealing with PFAs that are youth football games. Youth football grounds is when it's about over. After the last 2 weeks of what's happened down there at the stadium, I can't support it anymore. After they've been forewarned, that's another matter, but we're going to discuss it tonight. But PFAs, how do we deal with PFAs? Teachers should have to deal with it. We're principal, director of security, the board should have to deal with a PFA. It's all from the atmosphere that they come from.
And that's what I'm talking about, Mr. Bashir. I touched on that. And
certain kids that cannot go to homecoming, cannot go to prom, but other kids, because of who their parent is, guess what? They're one. And I don't want to name names, and I know a couple.
It's not administration in the high school. It's a.
Oh, we know that.
Yeah,
Well, we know our fathers.
we know who
We know who, we know.
and how. We know who
You
and
know,
how.
Mr. Dorsey, this doesn't make it right, but I can tell everyone here in this room tonight, and I don't agree with this at all. There are school districts that surround us that don't even follow this PIAA policy for eligibility for athletics.
I know that.
There are ones that follow it to the T. You can go to, I'm not gonna mention any schools, you can go to a certain school right now and have all Fs and step on a football field. I'm not saying that's what I'm advocating here for tonight.
Well, that shouldn't happen.
No.
Yeah, 100%. There has to be something in place, and I agree, yeah,
Yes.
leg standards, would be fine, that would be enough. But not just grades, but behaviors.
I
You know,
agree.
we have kids with behaviors that are still playing sports that shouldn't be.
I agree.
We have certain kids in this school district and on certain teams that were told by a judge they should not be in this school district, and somehow they got back in here. I mean, that's the type of stuff we're fighting against. We're trying to get straightened out.
Mr. Dorsey, I agree with you 100%, and I think there are no variables involved when a kid's acting up.
Right,
When a kid's acting up in a school, there has to be consequences.
right.
There are too many variables involved with academic suspension, but there's too many variables involved that aren't necessarily in control of the student athlete.
I think, Marty, you would agree, if a jury or a judge says that a student should not be in this district, let alone play football, not come to district, but he's allowed to play football.
They cause problems.
And then cause problems for the staff and the coach. And what do we do as a board? What do we do? When we allow that, not this board here, not the superintendent, previous people, allowed that person to come back. I was opposed to it. I hoped it didn't cause anything, but it did. It did. Not everybody here knows what happened, but it did.
Well, Mr. Bashir, hopefully, it seems like there are better times ahead.
I'm hoping.
Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice, Mike.
All right, do we have any, rules of amendment, any questions?
Yes, I got a few.
Go ahead, Mr. Chair.
I got one, it has to do with transportation. Homeless vans, 3,000. I thought we were in the area of cutting that back. I mean, do we still have that many? One homeless kid causing that much, or is it?
Yeah, what happened?
What page that on, Coach?
There are some children that are placed outside of our district that are very far away, like an hour and a half. When we had our bid meeting with the county and the other school districts and the parents, that was considered in the best interest of that child at the time. Knowing that that child will be coming back to the school district, and if they don't come back by the end of the school year, then that will cease. However, I know that Colby and I received an email from Allegheny IU, who controls all of like the homeless, like they oversee everything in Western Pennsylvania. And there was, I don't remember how much additional money there was, Colby.
$40,000.
Okay, so like that, there's $40,000 in addition to help with those travel expenses.
And I appreciate your efforts on that. It's just, for me, over the years, someone's too homeless, I get that. But like you say, an hour and a half away, you still want to, we have to send a van at 4:30 in the morning to go pick a child up and bring them here because this is where they want to be, and I get that. It's just that as long as you're trying to make sure that the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and we're going to legally bound, that's what we're going to do. That's my,
I know at one point we were trying to challenge some of these determinations that certain students were homeless. Are we still doing that?
Yeah, I have been on the phone with Allegheny IU in pretty much every scenario just to determine, yes, this child is definitely homeless and there's no shades of gray. So I'm constantly, anytime that I get a case where it's questionable,
I would check and make sure that it wasn't something that was renewed recently, because it never came before the board to renew it.
I'm not
Can
trusting.
you make note of that, Mr. Bigham?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's 48,000. I know we have security monitoring, I get that. Fire alarm system change, 46,000. Okay, was it under their contract to do that? Because I know I asked months ago that we put that RFP out for bid to let anybody be a low bidder. And maybe they were the low bidder. But the service they have provided the last 5 years has been terrible. Half the cameras don't work, or they'll come back, we'll be back next week, and they'll come back. But they'll get that money from us.
11. Page 11.
Yeah, it's on page 11, item 2013. Something else will go on, and to me, athletically minded, especially football, is what I mostly deal in. New football uniforms, $10,000 or $9,720. Okay. My concern is we had a policy that's every 5 years. Now, this is 3 times in the last 5 we bought uniforms. The other sports are not, what I'm getting at is the other sports are not getting that, I don't know if they're getting that 5-year rollover.
They're not.
Can you explain, Mr. Mayor?
Well, the home uniforms we purchased that we got this year, those are the first new home uniforms that we got since 2015, when Jason House was head coach.
2000, so they're, you
Yeah,
said
it was
home or away?
2015. It might, yeah, and then the whites that we got were the first new ones. I know it was well over 5 years. It was well over 5 years.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been an equipment manager since 2017, and at minimum, it's been 5 years. But some have gone over, like track uniforms, like first time I got them was 10 years. So.
But we have a policy that says every 5 years, every sport in this district can order new uniforms.
I submit a requisition, and then whether it's a yay or a nay, so.
Yeah, but that, all this passed, it's not your fault, it's nothing you're doing, it's something that I think with the board, we have gotten way out, because we used to vote on that. It was just an automatic yes, but, we would know who's getting new uniforms.
Nobody's got them under 5 years. It's probably been most likely either at least 5 or, like I said, the home uniforms are 10 years old. So we finally got new home uniforms this year.
And
So we're following that as far as football. Football, we haven't gotten new
Pretty much
ones.
every sport, I would say. I mean,
Every sport. How are we tracking that before?
I don't per se know. I mean, go and speak with previous business manager, and then they would go back and look and see when the last time we ordered uniforms were.
Okay.
So, and then it's at the request of the head coach, because sometimes you can get a head coach in there that isn't overly concerned about the uniform when they come in. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're in still pretty good condition.
I'll
Like
tell
we
you
passed
why.
it with track, we passed those down to middle school.
Why it happens.
Can we just get maybe a
Is-
report on that?
What's that, Terry?
Yeah, business manager look into that and get something to see where we're up to date on it.
Yeah.
See
We
what's going on.
should be pretty good.
My concern is maybe something we might not remember. It happened once about 3 years ago. We bought uniforms the wrong color. All I'm saying is, we have to have the right gold, the right color, white and black, whatever. It was wrong, and we almost spent about $7,000. It was the wrong gold. So all I'm saying, not only am I concerned about anybody's uniforms, football or otherwise, but we should be able to look at, see what they're buying like we used to. And everybody rubber stamped it, yes. I'm not gonna deny any athletic team uniform, but one year, the picture we were given were the wrong colors. And you guys might remember, I remember. That's all I have. That clears it up. Sorry for my misinformation.
Any other questions?
On page 2, dealing with cafeteria fund. Cafeteria fund, beginning balance as of August 31st, 2024, $1 million. Is that what we are supposed to have in the cafeteria fund? Or is that a little bit high?
And Mrs. Keeler's not here,
Okay.
but, Mr. Bigham can look into
he mentioned at one time that we were supposed to have a certain amount in there, and it wasn't supposed to be building up high, because if it was building too high, then we're not spending the money properly. That we're actually making money on the cafeteria. And we're not supposed to be making money on the cafeteria. So I don't know.
Director Dorsey, if I remember, that figure was $50,000, the cafeteria should never go over that.
Yeah, it's $1 million. That's pretty nice. That's actually higher than what our general fund is every now and then.
Yeah, but if you looked at expenditures, we're 213. So then it's like,
So we don't run out. It's a good point, though.
Any more questions? All right, I don't know who just wanted to go maybe to executive session now, or those who are on the agenda, go after, it's up to you guys.
Mr. President, I have some items that are not executive session, but they're, I'd like some clarification either from the board or administration. Some things I may have to shut off, and wait for executive session. It's okay with
You want to talk about now, Philip?
Well, I got some items here, but I'll go down the list.
Go to it, Ron.
Yeah.
All right. And some of this, forgive me, Superintendent, I don't know if I brought some of this up to you, so it's nothing that's, okay. Let's start with the youth league football. All right. I don't know how many of you know what happened, some of you board members do know. But our security cannot be checking for PFAs and all the other things, and to have the state police have to come down and close the gates and that kind of thing because of our fans. Our fans running out on the field after the coach.
No, you're saying this is now the second incident.
This is the second youth league
Not the
incident.
first, this is the first.
Because I was gonna say, didn't this happen last month as well?
Yes,
Yes.
that's his place. And I'm not gonna give background, but I referee everywhere, 3 counties. This does not happen. You are ejected immediately, and you are off the grounds until the superintendent of the board control of education says you can come back. To stand up in the stands and yell foul language, and it's worse than foul language, and you've got little children up there, and they don't care. I mean, the referees take it, so we gotta take it, but
Usually you have smaller kids there, they bring the little kids.
they're little cheerleaders, and these parents or whatever they are just don't care what kind of language they use, and then the coach, the cost of they drive up to high school looking for the coach and threatening, he wasn't here, but threatening him. That parent, to me, you're done for life. And I mean, the previous superintendent before the last one sent them a letter, you are banned from school property, I don't care if your kid plays, you act like that, it's standing. I don't know, we have to jump on sometime for next year, because sports is coming in the fall. We also have a basketball coach that did the same thing down there, and you just, I'm a basketball coach, you can't do nothing to me, I work for the school district. Well, that's another issue, I'll save it for executive session. Let's see, there were some pictures on social media, I'll wait for executive session on that. These parents parking out behind this elementary in that cemetery is causing a major problem for security officers to see it, teachers who see it, I see it. We have to get a hold of who's running that cemetery. She's parking in the alleyway. It's not our property, so she's right. But Mr. Clayton just passed away not very long ago, a week or 2 weeks ago. That's his property. Luzerne Township has a sign, no parking. Not only is that car parking there now, her friends are parking there, and they're making her yard a parking lot. Friday or Thursday, guy got out of his car, yelling at the lady because she let your kids out. They come in here, she comes in here with another lady, comes in here to go to a parent pickup. They park in the middle of the road. And here comes a school bus, here comes the parents exiting, here comes the school vans. Somebody will get hurt in that area, let alone the front of the school.
Can I ask you a question on that? And this isn't to be
kids, I had to take them to the nurse, the nurse looked at them, and hit the brakes so hard. So, and the cameras couldn't catch them all because the bus was in front of the cameras, in middle school. But the lady just kept on driving. But two of my students, fortunately they had seatbelts on, where one would went through the windshield, the other one hit his face on the back front seat, and he was holding his head. Fortunately, Mr. Acid, security took care of things, and,
So is the issue the property that doesn't belong to us? Is that the issue?
no, that's the second
That's
issue
part
we're
of it.
talking about, that's part of it. We can't have a security officer in every corner of this school, this is ridiculous. No, I don't know what we do, but the issue, the first issue I was talking about, Bob, was right outside behind the elementary, that's private property.
Okay.
The cemetery tells me they don't want her parking there. And, but she parks there, now other people are parking there. Mrs. Clayton, I don't know her, I saw her. But her husband just passed away, now they're parking in her yard.
But there is a sign there.
And there's a sign from the township, is that
Talk to Luzerne Township, they're coming out, they can't come out Tuesday, that's when officers on duty.
Okay.
What he's gonna do is politely ask that lady to stop parking there, it's creating a hazardous situation.
Rocky, is there an alleyway back there? I thought it was.
There's a little alleyway.
I don't know if they still have it there, if it's.
It's an access to that cemetery. And she parks there.
She parks in the alleyway. Oh.
And another part.
But some of the issue is our parents parking on the road
Yeah.
behind.
No,
Yeah,
she's parking here, Bob, then the next car comes here, then the next car comes here, here's the stop, here's the parking sign, says no parking. That's Luzerne put that there.
Yeah, okay.
And they're getting, when this car comes with all the kids, it stops in the middle of the road. All the kids are opening the doors and getting out. Here comes the bus, here comes the parents from the side of the building, here comes the van, all at once.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know how we rectify that. But security can only do so much. They're doing everything they can now. I've had Mr. Wellington, you were out there, was it Friday? He saw what these parents do. You gotta have your head on a swivel, they drive right behind you. Now they're sneaking around the school, but they don't want little Billy to walk very far. He's supposed to go here, she's supposed to walk to the middle school. They sneak around the back of the school, get into the front of the school, so they come right out to the door. Then they go right through the crosswalk where the kids are crossing. Thinking they have the right. They don't.
So should Mrs. Clayton be calling the police when they're parking in the yard, or is she not comfortable with that?
How old is she, 90?
She's my relative, she's not that old.
She may not even be, but that's not her job.
No, I know that, but maybe we'll stop it.
So, all the parents were cut up Record Avenue, and you saw what happened there. Parents, homeowners went down. Now they're over here by the tennis courts. It's the same situation. They're blocking the driveways, and you can't even get through.
Well, I know we've talked about this before about, if there's violation of our policies, we need to start citing. And I know I don't know if we can, or if that's something that rises to that level.
It's a good point, Bob, but I don't know how we do it. It's becoming.
Because you're right, I don't
I'm
want
not
to say
exaggerating this, I'm not trying to look for protection for everyone, I'm just saying, we put the stop sign, no U-turns, and the sign says no U-turns, we still do, you go right around. You can see them on camera doing it, but can you catch them? When Luzerne sits out here, they breathe about 5 miles an hour. They can't sit out here every day.
Yeah.
Then when they come on our property, everybody in security is gonna look, what the hell's going on? I'm just saying, if it continues, if we get somebody, we need to act.
Can we,
Hard nosed about it.
Mr.
Especially
Bashir, do you maybe, should we
tired of
together
bringing
maybe
this
come
up.
up with like a transportation safety comprehensive plan or something? I don't know, like, where do we go from here, you know what I mean?
Well, Dr. Martin, we talked about, maybe sending a memo.
I mean,
out to parents.
seriously, I've brought up multiple times, the solution to this would be not allow parents down
grab me, but I see you every day.
Yep.
And I know my,
Stop sign, you go right through it.
and I know my comment might have sounded a little pie in the sky there, but I mean, I think we all wanna see things happen, right? We wanna do. So how do we get to that point where we're doing? And under our leadership, I think we can do this.
Let's start with the
Taking it
letter.
little bits at a time, taking it easy isn't working.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
I agree there.
Let it in or out until the buses are in and out and the vans are in and out. We do that, and then maybe if we wanna loosen it up later, we loosen it up. But for now, this
Now,
needs to stop, because, I was joking when I asked Mr. Bashir, why are you bringing this up again? But this isn't just something he's been bringing up the past couple months.
No, it's a great point.
He's been bringing this up for the past 3 years, meeting after meeting after meeting, and zero's happened.
I think the first order of business, Mr. Dorsey, would be send a letter, all parent pickup, or just in general, everybody. I know it might not happen, but warn them, you will be cited for speeding, going through stop, whatever you want to write.
And
Just so we lay the groundwork that we're gonna do something.
Yeah, and put on there that the board is considering walkout,
Well, and this goes back to your earlier point, Mr. Bashir, about the youth football. That message would need to go out too, because I think we
Yeah.
do have a board and leadership that would uphold a
Yeah.
sanction.
Yeah, and even the previous leadership about the midget league. Remember, when I first started the board, that's what happened. We shut that down for a while, and that's why
Right.
they had to go play other places.
I was
Just
just
brought
going
it
back.
back on, there was supposed to be a plan.
Previous
And if they broke this, those rules, or anything was happening, then we get shut down again.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, Terry, because that did happen.
Yeah, I remember.
We did have to have them stop. And then when you have an announcer up in the building that just, it's like a riot. You hate to punish the kids, but we keep warning them about, these are our facilities. Security is there to protect the assets of Brownsville School District. They're not there to do PFAs and separate parents from fighting. And referees don't even want to come down there. I'm not exaggerating that. But I like what Bob's saying, Terry, we did ban them, but I think we've got to send them a letter saying, look, you're on that verge. We're not going to tolerate this for much more.
Rocky, is youth football the only sport that uses our facilities for their youth program?
I think because soccer goes up the pillar.
And basketball uses the rec center?
It's just, it was good for a while, what Terry was saying. And then it just, right now, two weekends in a row, the police had to be down there.
Well, there's no, because they're just getting away with it. There's no, repercussions of what they're doing, so they're falling into those ways again. So if we pull this from them, then they're gonna see we're not playing. The things and the way that they're acting on that. So, we might not have to go that drastic, but we might have to, because we did address it.
We did address it. And to add to that, any person, parent, guardian, that goes after a coach, we should think twice about that. If that person goes after one of our employees, I don't care if it's a custodian or teacher, we cannot sit here and say, well, don't do that again. Immediately they should be, you're done.
Yeah, if you have a
You
parent,
sue it, you're done.
if you have a parent that goes onto a football field, onto a basketball court, something like that, they should be banned. Not just told, okay, you go up in the stands. That's totally unacceptable.
How teachers don't report that they're cussed at and screamed at on the phone and threatened. That to me is the same thing. You call up a teacher and you're verbally threatening him or her. It's enough for me to say, you're done. One board member will go, you're done. I don't care who you are in this town. I got 4 more years here, so I don't run again, big deal. But I'm going to try to stop some of this bullshit. We need all of us to take a good look at that kind of thing, because our employees come to work every day. They don't know if they're ever going to come home. Look at today's society. It's nothing for them. You used to go outside and fist fight when you got out of the car at the road bridge. Now they pull out a gun and shoot you. So,
And also, it's embarrassing for our district. I mean, we're trying to change things like we just discussed up here, and it just seems like keep going back to sports and parents. But if we don't set some type of example, it's just
Yeah,
gonna keep
you're
going
right.
on and on.
Example, Terry, because we have to act on some of this stuff, because it's almost like we're the big bad. We talk, we talk.
And that's not our whole district.
That's it.
not our whole district.
softball field down in Smart. We had, I guess, two little kids got into a fight on the playground out there. And the one parent, instead of going over and just trying to break it up, he ran to his gun, or his car and got a gun, come running over onto the playground, and all hell broke loose. And that's what's happening in society. I had very good talks with some of my students in prison. Some of my students in prison are ex-Brownsville students. And many conversations about why people are carrying guns on the street right now and how many are carrying guns. And it blows your mind to really hear how many are packing out there. If they don't have them on their person, they have them in their vehicle. And it's happening. It's getting bad. And a lot of it is because of fear that they tell me, well, if I don't have a gun, you know, I'm probably going to get shot, so I have to have one to make sure. And that's what's happening in our society right now. And like Mr. Bashir said, it's only a matter of time until something happens in one of these football games.
Another question I have, since Mr. Eric's here. What's the ruling, because I'm not aware of this, of parents keeping stats for sporting events? Is that something that has to go through the WPIL, or because there's complaints of parents pumping up stats for their child? Is there a rule for that?
Stats through our district are the responsibility of the head coach, depending on sport. Now, with football and other sports, sometimes you have a statistician that'll just serve that night to be doing the stats. I could speak to you, you know, I mean, what's the director?
I've never had this come up with all statisticians that I know would be someone who works for the district or a coach or something to that effect. But I can see that going down that road where.
Track and field, I mean, track and field are either automated or I keep them myself. I know the district for football, we have, I think we have somebody that keeps our stats. Huddle usually keeps our stats for us and breaks down the game for us and automatically automates it as well.
But that's only if you have huddle assist.
That's only if you have huddle assist, which is on your agenda.
Right, I know, basketball's never had huddle assist. I proposed for our boosters to purchase it, and, you know, they refused to do it, well, the president refused to do it. But
And
I
you
did
can
do
prove that.
some research about statistics last year, because we had a similar situation, and then the only thing, what I learned, I checked the PIAA website, and what I learned is not necessarily who's permitted to take the stats, but that a parent is not permitted to publish the stats on a news media or a news feed. So let's say a parent is not permitted to go on to, let's say for instance, Facebook and say, these were the statistics. But it didn't say whether or not the parent was permitted to take the
But you don't
stats.
have that problem.
No, I don't have that problem. I do it myself. I go home and rewatch the whole video
That's what I'm saying.
to eliminate all this.
Whoever
Yeah.
would do that, would they have any legal right to do that? Would that be written in stone?
I don't know.
Let's just say some kid scored 65 points and then.
Yeah, I don't know how you enforce those accusations. Those, I don't really know.
If you don't have anyone that's your coach or by the district legally keeping stats, and you have maybe parents keeping the stats, is what I'm getting at. And one parent might be zooming up the other
Right,
statistic
and
of her kid
that's-
plays. It could happen, you don't want it to happen, but it could happen, so are those statistics that she's giving to whoever legal? To the basketball coach, or to the volleyball coach, or to the soccer coach, are those statistics legal binding?
I would think
Ms.
so.
Bach, did you say?
I said a person that's keeping stats, are they board appointed?
More likely, yes, or volunteer or assistant coach or coach.
Yeah, because there's some sports that students do it.
Yeah.
And I found that students
They're not
are a
reliable.
disaster. They're texting, on their phones, or not
They
paying
don't
attention.
know.
When I do the stats versus the students, the numbers are drastically different.
So Patty, would you suggest that, you
And then I would say a coach would
In
have.
all sports?
To record them and submit them.
Mr. Bear, can you explain a little bit what sports and how
So,
huddle
huddle assist right now, we have it for football, it's on the agenda tonight for boys and girls basketball and volleyball, as well as purchasing huddle for volleyball. Track and field does not use huddle assist because as a coach, when you, all individual stats, like going to track meet, for instance, you can't use huddle. It has to go either by an FAT time, which huddle does not record. So that's why we don't use huddle. And I keep it at the table because, let's say you have a kid, I say he ran a 10.1 300-meter dash. That has to be verified by a PIAA official at the end of the meet unless it's being used by meet manager, which automatically does it into the system because it's through a computer. And so track and field's different.
Baseball and softball are different.
Baseball and softball use Game Changer.
Someone enters that.
Right.
It's the same thing, you're just using an app.
Yeah.
So it's a person that has to enter that.
Yeah.
Error, whatever.
Yeah, I have to enter it, but like our catch-22 with track and field is that it's signed off on. Now, there can still be somebody that questions it, and you get an email from the PIAA or from the WIPIAL that'll say, you need to check, such and such stat, because we have a coach saying, your kid didn't run that at this meet, which we've not had happen, but it happens. So huddle kind of automatically breaks that down for you. But the coach still has to enter the game. It breaks down your stats.
I mean, somebody's always gonna accuse you of something, but at least huddle assist in baseball and softball, the majority of your stats are part of the scoreboard, are part of what actually is written down in the scoreboard. Basketball and volleyball are different. Yeah, the basketball, you're keeping track of 2-pointers, 3-pointers, missed and made free throws, but you have a whole other group of statistics that aren't recorded in a scoreboard. And that's where at least you have huddle assist to back you and say, here's where my numbers came from. Here's the results, and here's what I entered into my spreadsheet, and here's what I turned into the athletic director at the end of the year. You want to cross-check those are fine. But you have something to back you. You don't have something to back you if you have kids saying, well, she had 6, you can have 2 kids record rebounds, and one kid will say that girl had 8 rebounds, and the other one will say the girl had 24 rebounds. So that's where huddle assist. Yeah, track and baseball and softball, your statistics are almost all recorded right there in the scoreboard.
If there are any discrepancies in the video for huddle assist, and that's why videotaping it, with no breaks in the video, is paramount, because if you don't, it then can have a discrepancy. It has to be, the video has to be congruent all the way through in order to do it the right way. I don't think it's in this package, but there was another package that offered, I gave you 2 cameras, but then it was giving you're paying for things that we're not going to use as well, because we're not going to use it for baseball. You don't use it for softball, correct?
I don't use Game Changer either.
Oh, okay.
I said, yeah, we'll use it.
Oh, you want,
But I
okay.
know, baseball doesn't want it.
Oh, baseball, okay. We can still look at adding it still before the season. I mean, it's an add-on. It's not a carte blanche thing. This is like just à la carte that we have on that agenda.
And how come some sports have paid scorekeepers and some don't?
That I'm not aware of. I don't know why some are paid. Track, we don't have a paid one. Football, we don't have a paid one. I don't know if you're speaking of basketball. If that's the case, I've not started the winter sports
When
season
did that
yet,
start?
but.
Because when I used to coach basketball, I would keep score and I would get paid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
As to why, I don't know.
So we need to look into, some sports have,
So
volunteer college, or someone's have a separate person getting paid just to keep the stats. In some sports, and some sports don't have that, they're using a parent for volunteer.
I keep them myself for 15 years to track. I don't have anybody else do it for me.
You got any more questions, Mr. Chair? Mr. Dorsey? Anyone else?
Just real quick on that.
Yeah.
No, discuss it again and hopefully have a decision.
Mr. Mahali, I mean, you get all the coaches' opinion, and not just, I wasn't in that 99% that he quoted.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't, I don't know anything about it, and I think you need to look at the teacher's perspective as well,
Yeah, I do too.
not just coaches. Because your coaches that are teachers, I believe, have a different opinion.
Fair
Not
point.
not your coaches that are not teachers. It's student, athlete. Student first, and then an athlete.
I agree.
I agree with you, Coach.
Yeah,
Coach, biology teacher, Bob.
It's kind of the point I was trying to make in a way, but I
Yeah,
agree with him 100%.
and I'm not saying whether it's, whatever happens, right? And being the NCAA faculty athletic rep at California University for 5 years, I totally agree. And student athletes have it more difficult.
Yes, they do.
I mean, it's just the reality. There's a lot more policies and procedures, there's a lot more rules and regulations that they have to follow, so I totally agree with you.
They have to maintain a certain GPA or
Right.
they can't participate. They can't get their
Absolutely.
scholarship.
Yep.
I would also like to present the data from whenever, from the start of this until now, so that you can see what the data looks like. And some of the stuff that was referenced was put in place long before, even Mr. Gates. So I feel like
Yeah.
you need to see the data, and then maybe you would understand a little bit more of, what exactly it is, and definitely hear from the teachers.
Yeah, to your point, I wrote down, what is the history on social suspension and why is it why did we move in a direction as a board? Just from, tagging our name
And
to
I
the
will
board.
say this, over 200 kids attended homecoming this week. Every student was able to do what they needed to do in order to attend homecoming. So that's huge. I mean, there were a lot of students that, were able to attend that haven't had failing grades in 3 weeks. So, and the confidentiality piece is huge. We can't
Right.
always tell these coaches why these students, why they're in the situation they are. I mean, if
Right.
we would get caught doing that, we wouldn't have a job.
I wrote
So-
FERPA down.
And just for your intervention, Kelly, that the last 2 or 3 years since you've got involved in this homecoming, there's no incidents at the
There are
Castle.
no incidents in any of our dances.
Those kids were well behaved.
That was because.
Before, it was a disaster.
Yes.
But since you've gotten with those kids, and parents, or whatever, everything, last 3 years have just been, don't even know they're there.
And I will say, I had an incident last week, with a student from another school district, where the student was making threats to a student that goes to school here. And I called, the school district in town, and I just spoke to the principal, and they were fantastic with helping us. You know what they said? I'll simply call home. I have the support here. I will call home and tell that student that they can't attend your dance. And honestly, there was no other conversation. Nothing else needed to be said. The parent did call here. I did speak to that parent from the other district, but they weren't happy with the decision. But at least I know we did our due diligence here, and I can't thank that local principal enough for their help. So, I mean, we do try to look out for these kids. If you know anybody that attended homecoming, it was fantastic. It really, truly was fantastic. The kids had a great time. They danced for 2 hours straight, and the tables were cleared. So it was really, really a nice time for the students.
Well, thank you, all involved in homecoming.
Yeah, and I can vouch for that. I was actually chaperone for homecoming and served food, and I can definitely confirm that these guys do a phenomenal job. That homecoming dance was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And the kids were amazing. They were polite, they were helpful, they even helped clean the tables. It was absolutely, I was extremely impressed. And you guys definitely should be commended,
Not me.
for the job, yes. It was very, very well done.
Kelly, that's a credit to you, because I've seen, since you stand up to your guns and the policy, enforcing it, it's tough. You've had some tough years over there, and I know.
Yeah.
But they're getting the idea now. Look, you play around, you get it. And it shows you. Me, 3 years ago up the council, oh my God, there's beer cans, there's smoking, Jesus.
Nothing. They
Nothing to last.
even asked me what door they door, I said, no, you have to exit that door over there.
We can just get some of that down at the youth football. We'll be rock and roll on that.
One more thing, Mr. President.
Thank you.
This isn't gonna take long. I just think we have to really start enforcing the parents not at the bus stop policy. Let it happen once. The second time, that parent is not there for that kindergarten, either that first grade, however many grades it goes to, then we need to call child line. Because we just can't have vehicles turning around, bus turning around, coming all the way back for one kid, because that parent's at Walmart. I'm a little bit dramatic. I mean, all we have to do is tell the principals, look, you got one shot, now you're done. You better have somebody at that bus stop. Again, you're gonna be involved. Telling us it's the school district's problem. It is, but you gotta work. Anyway, I wouldn't last as administrator, probably didn't fire. That's all I have, my rant.
So entertain executive session now, later.
You want to go with some of these things?
Let's do some of this.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right, Mr. Dorsey.
Okay, Education Committee, item A, is to discuss approving theater program to hold their annual musical February 20th, 21st, 22nd, or 2025, which is going to be the Adams Family. Item B, discuss the proposal for elementary grading change. And I know, Ms. Constable has contacted me and talked about this, and she wants to bring to the board, some changes. You want to go over and explain everything?
Sure, so
Do that now.
okay. The report cards, the students are, graded on standards base, so not, your A, B, C, D grade scale. It's a hashtag, a slash, a plus. A lot of our parents, struggle with understanding the report card. Just because there's so much educational language in it, it's decoding, phonemic awareness, not a reading comprehension grade. So they think that their students are, making progress toward mastery, and we're starting to see that they're not. So we wanted to, the teachers proposed, the upper elementary do traditional grading scale along with standards. So they initially wanted to get rid of just the standards. And then they started talking about it, we want to streamline everything and just go back to traditional grades. At the elementary, and it's all in there, like the reasoning and everything.
The teachers are all on board for that?
Upper, and then K and, or first grade. The kindergarten teachers, there's a little bit of different things that they want to do as far as just what's on the report card, not necessarily the grading scale itself.
Right, that could be discussed with them.
Yeah.
and,
Just
change
the
that.
different things, like, they wanted to add fine motor skills grade, but not have it A, B, C, D, F, wanted to have satisfactory, unsatisfactory,
Yeah,
things that wouldn't be on.
that makes
the
sense.
other report cards.
Yeah, that, I think back to, back in the 1920s when I was in school, in the elementary, it was very, very basic like that. And then as time went on, man, they started making everything so complicated. And like you say, a lot of the parents, it was difficult trying to figure out what the heck this report card was trying to tell them. And I think this will be a way to get back to everybody being able to understand what their child needs to work on,
If we do send reports to them, which are benchmarking, that give that information on the specific skills, the decoding, the phonemic awareness, your math computation, that is provided to parents on the reports, like from Angel Learning and from our attainment status. They aren't given the knowledge of where their child is.
Right.
How they're performing. It's just, the report cards would be a little more streamlined.
It'd probably be easier for the teachers too.
100%, yeah.
Okay. Sounds good to me, let me see, item C, discuss approving the request from Daniel Palo to allow high school, middle school life skills classes to renew AMF Bell Vernon. Lanes, Life Skills Bowling League at a cost of $3,500. And we were given a bunch of thank you cards tonight by those students. And they were touching, you know, reading through them. And I like hearing that there's an activity going on for those students, for our life skills students, that they enjoy. And it's, you know, because we have so many other activities that are geared for our better students, our higher functioning students, and being able to do this for them, I really feel good about that.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Penny, on your
Yeah.
associate teachers with you, Lord.
Thank you. The kids absolutely love it. They enjoy it so much. It's been such a great experience for teachers and the students.
I love to go down and watch it.
Yeah, come, Owen, October 23rd at 10 a.m.
Cards were great.
We go on the days where they have the leagues.
Yeah.
They love it. Thank you so much.
Item D, discuss approving the quote from Brain Pop for elementary school at a cost of $3,890.25. That's on C4 in our packet.
D, E, and F are actually renewals. We already had those products, so we're just renewing them.
Okay, so then it's a quote from Super Teacher for school site licenses and quote for Nearpod, and quote for building resources and planning. Okay.
Mr. Dorsey,
Cost of that.
if I may go back to item A.
Yes,
Can you clarify what that is? That's not the play, is it?
Yes,
that's our music.
musical. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and that's it for the education.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Mr. Gage, personnel.
Discuss, learn 2025, aim to attend the AASA National Conference at no cost to the district. The Gable Foundation will be paying for that. Congratulations to them. B, discuss the following names of professional substitutes, Braden Hutchins and Jessica Hoon. C, discuss the letter of resignation from Jamie Gavin as K-12 assistant principal, district assignment coordinator, transportation director.
With C, it says letter of resignation. Usually those letters are put in our packet. We don't have that in there.
We could send, go
I
ahead.
never got a formal letter from her. I don't know, Dr. Martin.
An email, I can.
We can't act on something that isn't
Email
there.
would be the same.
It's the email.
Did you get this to us tomorrow, Jimmy?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Is what, okay?
Can we get it tomorrow?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is procedurally, we should have had this. I'll say it, until we had somebody resign, we shouldn't have been hiring. The 5 people, that's
D, discuss the letter of resignation of Dana Robach, school nurse effective
two on here for, Dr. Nicholson. I guess we can, approve to let her go since she did such a great job, controlling some things in the district while Dr. Martin and Dr. Constable, were on vacation. And she, held things together very well.
Finance,
Item A, discuss approving the request from Joanna Teslovich Performing Arts Center to hold the dance recital and practice in the auditorium of the Brownsbury High School. Dates are April 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2025. Okay. So April 2025, okay.
I have a question for Mr. David. Now, you may not be able to answer this as of right now, since you do. But are we still receiving payment from, say, like this Performing Arts Center and other entities that want to use our auditorium and places like that? Because I know at one point we did set amounts that we should be getting paid.
Yeah, and I believe we talked about it in our, actual meeting, because I think just one that we fell on Sunday, so.
Yes.
Then
Well,
we talked about how she was aware of that and,
Can you make the board aware of what that fee would be?
I could find it.
Okay.
Item B, discuss approving the disabled veterans real property tax exemption certification. Item C, discuss approving Zelenkovsky Axelrod Limited liability 3-year agreement for financial and single audit.
In the past couple of years, we've had some discussion on the board about new auditors and the process for the auditing. Now, did we bid this, or are we just automatically renewing with them? Because I know there was some discussion last year that when this does come up, that we, put bids out.
It was on, I believe, right after our September meeting, it was sent over, because he wanted to start,
They sent it here.
yeah, but when they wanted to start October, the audit process.
Yeah.
And so, that's what I asked Shelley, well, this is already renewed, she had said that we need to renew it, so.
Yeah. 'cause
So
that-
are we renewing a 3-year agreement? Brad, like an additional new 3 discuss approving the renewal with NRG Business Marketing LLC for gas 9/1/2025 to 8/31/2028. Yeah.
It's, we're in the, we're currently in a, with the IU1 for natural gas. And actually, the rate they are going to be charging us for the next 3 years, if we sign this, is actually lower than we're looking right now. And we believe what they were, we had a meeting with them a couple weeks ago, a couple weeks ago now. They expect it to run, not next year, but 26, 27, because I guess they're planning on selling a lot of gas to more countries. So we make less available here, and they're trying to get us locked into the market price for this.
And it'll stay the same price.
It's actually
Year
a
two, year
little
three.
bit better, yes, for next
Okay.
year, but it's a little bit better than we are currently.
All right, policy committee, Mr. Howard.
Okay, discuss the changes to policy 237, electronic devices.
Yes.
And also discuss a theft policy. And those are in your packet, yes.
Transportation, Mr. Bashir.
Add the following names to the last year's drivers list: Dave Zamero, Noel Lee Vernon, Earl Arnold, Jerome Wayne, and Brandon Marshall. Also add Charles Ferguson, Vaughn Ferguson, Samantha Joe Davis, Katie Berry, and Tammy Rajowski. That's the names you gave me, Jody, those are right?
Yes,
They're clear?
they're all clear.
All right. That's all they have, other than we talked to us about the transportation. I think we're making progress at the elementary, and the high school, but I know it's gonna take time, so I'll be patient. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. A, discuss accepting the letter of resignation for Anthony Hurts as the high school assistant volleyball coach effective September 28, 2024. Any discussion on that? Discuss huddle assist packages for the athletics. C, discuss purchasing a box truck trailer for the band equipment. D, discuss hiring Christina Clark as assistant girls basketball coach for the 24-25 school year. Compensation set at $3,040. E, discuss hiring Carl Gaddis as assistant girls basketball coach for the 24-25 school year. Compensation set at $3,000. And then I had to, we need to add one here, maybe we might have to have some discussion also. Todd Fisher to, announce the games. He wants to be paid $45 per game.
That's for what?
Soccer.
Soccer.
Soccer game?
That's all I have.
Does he also do football too? Is he, I think, high school?
I do have a question about item A. I'm sorry, did I interrupt? Wait, did I interrupt?
I just wanted,
No, he,
I'm sorry about
I wanted to know if he
I'm not
did
sure
high
if Todd
school.
does football. Who does
Go to
football?
Novak. Todd does basketball
Basketball.
and
Shut those back.
soccer.
Been up there for years.
So he does two, right? Basketball. Go ahead, Ms. Mullins.
So back to item A, this letter of resignation, so are we paying him a prorated amount, up until, or are we paying it all? Like, what's the, how are we handling that? He resigned before the end of the season, so